smiling because I've been driving the Land Rover Discovery Sport 2024. I'm going to tell you why this might just be the ideal SUV for your family with a smash of luxury and with a DNA built for the rugged outdoors here on Tech Today. Now, whenever you drive a car from the Land Rover stables, it can get confusing for most of your family members and friends because there's so many sub-brands. Let me break it down for you. There's Jaguar Land Rover. Let's leave the Jaguar part out of it because they're building on electrification in a big way. But within the Land Rover family, there's Land Rover Defender, a car that I'm going to tell you about, which I think this one strangely competes with. Then there's Land Rover Discovery. This one is the Discovery Sport 2024. A lot has changed, but a lot is the same. And then there's Range Rover. Within the Range Rover, you have Evoque, Velar, and then the full-size, Autobiography, SV. You've seen us do all of these on Tech Today. The Discovery is perhaps the most special of the entire lot here in India. One, because it's more affordable than the other ones. Two, what I've learned driving it is that because it's from the same family, there's a lot of features from Range Rover that come to this particular vehicle. Similarly, all the adventure, outdoors, well, off-roading sort of features that come from here and the Defender also find their way in the Range Rover because we've gone with the Evoque, their smallest car built on a similar platform, even off-roading in the French vineyards, and it's done a fairly decent job. But this is the original one. Now, what's special about the car, while I give you a little bit of a walkthrough, is actually in the back of the car. So, surprise for that, but the front looks lovely, very similar to how it did earlier as well. You have some of the cool shebangs that come from the JLR family. You have, of course, a headlight washer here in the front, a very, very bold look, commands the right sort of presence, and it's the right height with this air suspension as well. Gives you that sort of feeling that there's something here which makes it agile, bucket loads of torque, which you'll find out when we take it on the highway and then when we drive it in the city as well. These massive 19-inch alloys look amazing, and this is the sort of size that you need when you're taking this car for a road trip. Well, for the inside, I'm going to take you in shortly, but for now, there's only one word across this Land Rover family, which is minimalist, and if you don't want to use that word, reductionist. That's the design philosophy. We'll get there. Then there's a second row of seats, and guess what? And there's a little surprise, not in the second row, which seems fairly decent. When there's an Innova or another 7-seater, I usually offer to sit in the back seat. Reluctantly, but I'm being polite. Is this all right? For me, nearly 6 feet tall, can I get to the back? So this is how I get in. This is the real test. I'm going to get in and then get out. All right, okay. All right. Okay. Why don't I pull this seat up? Honestly, I wouldn't be able to last. It's a little too, low for me. You can get a kid over here. The nice thing over here, though, is that there is, of course, a seat belt. You can also adjust the aircon vent, so it's not that claustrophobic. You have these small little safari windows over here. But I'm going to see what it's like really getting out of the car. Okay, so you can push it ahead this way. Let's see what it's like trying to get out. Not the most amazing experience, but look, you're getting this in a 7-seater and you can get the kids at the back. Just don't ask me to go at the back of the car. A 7-seater SUV, a luxury SUV, which can do a lot of off-roading stuff as well, go on those adventures, but with your family, and a focus on safety as well. If I open the boot, you'll see there's plenty of space. Right, you can see it right here. You can have your workout mat and whatnot. Let's move the spare stuff at the back. And you see right here, seat number 1, seat number 2. Get rid of this. There's way too much of baggage because this can take and tow up to 3,000 plus kilos of a trailer if you want to. So then you don't need this space maybe, but if you do, then fold this back right here and also fold these guys as well. You can work out different configurations. Fold just this and this, fold all of these and then just make it a 2-seater. There's so many things you can do with this car. And guess what? This is all available at its most affordable price point within the JLR family at nearly It starts off at 67 lakhs. This particular variant goes up to around 80 lakhs. It's still cheaper than before. There's a sort of a discount on this car. That means that it becomes cheaper than the X3, than the GLC. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to tell you about the verdict, but only after we've driven the car. So let me now take you to the front seat and then for a quick drive on-road, off-road, highway, maybe all the way to your heart in the Land Rover Discovery Sport. And the minute you sit in the car, you feel like this is a very accessible seat height and a commanding seat position. Not too much under high support, but the height is perfect. If we can do 0 to 100, and we've done that in under 7 seconds, for a car this size, I mean, honestly, it is mind-boggling that they can do this with this car. Everything here, the first thing that you feel after driving a bunch of their new cars, even the more premium ones, is that this is consistent. And that's what you like about this particular brand. All of this is thanks to a technology touch, which is the heart, the centerpiece of this entire company now, which is this system that runs on PIVI Pro. Let me tell you a little bit more about PIVI Pro as we actually navigate through the system, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the tech and the design philosophy of this particular car. Now, the minute you see the PIVI Pro system, it is reassuring, but then you think, I want to enjoy the countryside and open this massive, massive sunroof. It's amazing that it exists, but the problem with it is that it's just, well, this glass panel extending like a Tesla till the back. You don't necessarily get to open this. In fact, you cannot open it. It's super cool, but that said, well, this is something that I wish we could have had some access, but I'd imagine that this makes the car a lot more sturdy and really what it's meant for, which is to keep your family safe and for you to enjoy those long drives. When you sit here, it's got this new steering wheel, which looks super smart with Discovery branding right here. All your steering mounted controls always work. This volume key will come very much in handy whenever you're using this particular car, because if you're used to buttons on the central panel, then here you can see there is no buttons whatsoever, in line with the brand's minimalist, reductionist design philosophy. Everything works. If I want to increase the AC4 instance with this and you see no buttons, please don't be scared. You keep this pressed, brilliant haptic, push it up and down. Honestly, once you get used to it, it's so much easier. Similar story with the volume key, right? Get it up, get it down, you know, and if you want to do anything over here, honestly, whenever you use PIVI Pro, this system works like a charm. Air quality, this is something I expected only in the Range Rovers. It's there in the Land Rover Discovery Sport as well. And this is perhaps one of the best air purification systems I have seen on 4 wheels, right? This really compares with some of the best ones we've seen on the show in general, which you use in your house. All the off-roading capabilities right here. You got the compass, wheel info, weight sensing, and this modes. If you're good with this, and we've played around this with a lot, you have auto terrain response, off-road modes, eco mode, comfort mode, dynamic mode. I keep it on auto. That's great. The car knows exactly what to do. But let's see what the off-road modes are all about. You have grass, gravel, snow, sand, mud ruts, comfort. There's a whole bunch of them. You obviously have this particular mode where you have that, you know, the smart on-off for the car. Then you also have ATPC, which we've tested before. And then you have hill descent as well. I'm going to switch these off for now. One of the main features in these SUVs that really I find endearing is weight sensing. Right from the start all the way till the top of the line Range Rover Autobiography, this feature blows my mind. Even in a car of this particular height, you can actually go up to nearly 2 feet in water. That is crazy, because when you want that sensor to be triggered, you need a depth of water of at least 4 inches. If you had even the Discovery Sport, forget the Defender, forget the Range Rover, this particular car would be able to do weight sensing as well. And that means you can drive this car practically in water. Can't wait to take this car on the road, but I'll tell you a little bit more about the tech of this car. Does this pass the tech check? It has a Meridian sound system, which sounds amazing. Wireless charging comes right over here, so let's see if that works, because it seems to work in all the other cars. I'll place it right here. Is it working? Is it working? Is it working? There you go. It takes a couple of seconds. You also have storage right over here, limited storage here, but then you have lots of storage over here with the USB-C charging point. You also have the charging points at the back, and then you have 2 charging points over here as well. In the Defender, you get one in the front over here as well, but over here they've kept it absolutely minimalist in this new 2024 one. A little bit of this sort of leather-like feeling, feels nice. Well, this is a little soft touch, and then a little bit of wood to make it nice and classy as well. If you look right over there, you have the Meridian speakers there, and that's standard now. Absolutely high quality premium sound, especially if you connect it with a good lossless audio device. It's amazing. But there's one more cool feature in this particular car. Let me pull back a bit and then show it to you, because this always blows my mind. This is usually there in some of their more expensive cars. You see this in Mercedes as well, but Range Rover does it very, very differently. I know they use AI and all sorts of tech to stitch together all those, well, different images from under the car. Some companies call it transparent bonnet. Here, let me just show it to you, well, because a little less conversation, a little more action. Press off-road, 360 cameras are amazing, and in a few seconds, this will show up. Now you got to give it a few seconds to drive forward, and then it stitches together this amazing view of the front of the car. There you see, you know exactly what lies beneath you. If there's any sort of, well, rocks, any sort of foreign body, something that can damage the suspension, at what angle. And I think this is an amazing feature to actually be able to tell when you're going off-roading, or if you're even perhaps, well, in a little bit of water in a tricky situation. There's tech to the rescue, as always. The Land Rover Discovery Sport. True to its name, we've headed here into the hilly areas of Maharashtra just to test what this is like, because there's a nice mixture of roads. We have, of course, the highways, then we have the ghats, we have, well, a sort of an off-roading course as well, and we can slalom through it. Not much body roll, very, very planted, and when you want to accelerate and overtake, very reassuring that the car really supports you in this particular endeavor. And I think that's the beauty of the Land Rover Discovery Sport.